Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know air flying is a thing of the past for some of us. So, like they say on Southwest, you have many choices of things you can do for lunch. So, I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us to learn about online resources through the state library. So, today we are going to be covering encyclopedia and biographical information or biographies resources through the state library. Let me just go ahead click through this. So before, just to give you some background of what we're going to be talking about and where we get the money from, as you all know, there's no free lunch, and the resources that we're going to be going over can cost about $1.2 million. We and 15 county libraries spend that money. We use money from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Those are federal dollars, and county libraries have a choice to spend their money that they get from property taxes to spend on these resources. So you're paying for these. So we hope you use them, and we hope you can share these resources with your students and your fellow teachers. So the resources we're going to cover today are Biography and Context and Gale Library. I'm sorry, Biography and Context and Britannica Library. And these are just two resources out of about 33 resources that we have. And we're going to be covering different topics every week or every other week, depending on our schedules. But before we get started, I wanted to stress something, and yes, this really is important. This is the key to using these resources. And if you're into football, you might have heard this last week. I'll repeat it again. The acronym is NFL, and that means navigation, full text, and location. And if there's anything you take away from today's presentation, are those three concepts, because those are key for any type of electronic resource, because you are teachers and your students are going to be looking to you on how to navigate these resources. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do a PowerPoint presentation and go over some screenshots of the actual resources, and then we're going to dive in and look at the actual resources. So the first one we're going to be covering is Gale in Context. And what I want to focus on, at the top, you'll see under Gale in Context, you have a search box, and that's really similar to Google. And while I'm on the topic of Google, you might be asking yourself, well, why don't we just use Google? Well, Google is a great resource, and the other resource that a lot of people use on the internet is Wikipedia. And both of those resources are great starting points, but that's just it. They are starting points, because a lot of things that you find on Wikipedia are created by the public. They have not been reviewed. They have not been spell checked. They are put up without proper grammar. And we all know that people can go into Wikipedia and change things. And sometimes the information is outdated. So again, I don't want to, discourage the use of Wikipedia. It's a good starting point. But I think the next logical step is using their online resources, and the same with Google. Google and Google Academic or Google Scholar are really great resources. But at the end of the day, once we look at the databases, those articles we're going to be looking at and resources have been published, they've been vetted, and they've been reviewed. And this all goes back to the concept of critical thinking skills, using those critical thinking skills to analyze resources, make sure they're legitimate, make sure they're written well and properly supported. So that's my little soapbox about Google and Wikipedia. Great tools, but I think it leads us back into the Gale and the database products. So for Google in Context Biography, it's limited to biographical types of information, videos, articles, maybe some news transcripts. And on this very first screenshot, we have normally what we'll see is it's a scrolling carousel of different topics that you can look at. The topic of the day for this is Kamala Harris. And I'm going to go to the next slide. And as we scroll down the screen, they also have categorized different topics. So they've already kind of bundled up, for example, the first box says actors. So they've already kind of made an easy button for students to look at Tom Hanks or John Hurt. And next to the actors, it says 1030. That means they have 1030, I guess, articles or they've created a web page for those actors that include additional information. And then they've also broken it down into other categories: African Americans, artists, filmmakers, and so on. So these are just predefined categories that might help those students who might be struggling, or they just want to click the easy button and click on a predefined topic. So as you scroll down the screen, we keep going, you'll see there's additional predefined topics. And then you'll see where it says browse all 5,034 people, you can go to those pages they've created for those individuals, which will include articles and some background information. I want to draw your attention to the lower left-hand corner where it says educator resources. We're going to just pop into that really briefly to show you what's available as far as resources for educators. I will just put this right up front. I am not a teacher, so I might be saying something that's not correct for the field of education, but I do just want to point out these resources that are available to you. The next resource we're going to be looking at is Britannica Library. I just have one screenshot, and that is of the very first page, and they actually break their content down into different levels. So they have a level for children, young adults, and a little bit more advanced to what they call a reference center. And that's geared more towards high school, community college, or more academic type of institutions. And finally, we're going to look at where you can access these resources. I've got different counties, and you'll notice that there are different websites. So for example, if you're in Maricopa County, then you can actually go to Phoenix Public Library, your local library, like in Chandler. Maricopa County Library District has rural library or libraries in the outskirts of the Phoenix metropolitan area. And if you're in Maricopa County, you can actually go online and get a Phoenix Public Library card for free. They have tons of resources, and you don't need to go into the library, and they have all the exact same resources that we're going to be reviewing today. And then finally, towards the bottom, you'll see the Arizona State Library. You can always access through our state website using a zip code, which is pretty easy. And you're probably asking yourself, well, why didn't you say that in the first place? Well, we at the state library like to promote our local public libraries. As I mentioned, we and the county spend a lot of money on these resources. And if we don't see usage in Navajo County, Maricopa County, Apache County, we might say, well, they're not being used. So that's why we encourage you to use your local library. But if that's not working for you, please use the state library's website. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this, and I'm going to transition over to the web page. So if you bear with me for just 1 second. Hold on just 1 second. And also, I forgot to mention about Facebook. I know Donna, I need to update that link, but Donna often puts resources on our Facebook page. So Go ahead, Donna, jump on in if you want to.
Sure. While you're getting to the correct screen, I just wanted to promote our Arizona Library's Facebook page because there's a lot of great information, especially for library workers who may be in public or school libraries, but also there's a few things about education as well. Uh, Great support for library staff.
Okay, hold on just one second. I'm trying to get to Google. Hold on. Let me just try one more time. Okay, here we go. So this is our state library page, and as I said, you can access the resources through this web page. And how you get there, and there's a URL on the slides that we will be sharing with you, is you go to collections, and I'm going to Digital Arizona Library, and I'm going to online resources. And on this page, you'll see the various resources that we have. And today we're going to be looking at Britannica Library, and we're also going to be looking at, we're going to be looking at biographies and context. So I'm going to go ahead and start with biographies and context. In just a second, I'm going to click OK. And here is the resource. As I mentioned from the screen, we have our search box. We have our carousel where we can just click through different topics. Cesar Chavez, Irene Jolie Curie. Kamala Harris goes back to Kamala Harris. I'm going to go ahead and explore this topic just to show you what it looks like. And it gives you some quick facts. And again, they've created over 5,000 quick facts. But below, you'll see that they have different resources for the student. So you'll notice here that they have an actual, I think it might be a transcript, an audio file broadcast from Morning Edition. Looks like they have a lot of resources from, looks like public radio. You have images, and as far as these images, they are copyright free as long as they're used for an educational purpose. So as long as you don't copy them and put them on a postcard, you're fine. Your students are fine. Below is probably where your students want to look, and this is where you get your full text articles. National Review, New York Times Magazine. So let's go ahead and just click on an article. And here's what you get. Now let's just take a look at this page really quick. And again, it's all about navigation. So what we have, we can translate this article to a different language. You can select from different languages, and for Arizona, probably the logical choice might be Spanish. And now it's translated into Spanish. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this. I can change the font. I can also listen to this. So maybe you have someone who might be a struggling reader, or this might be a tool to help them get to the resources that they need. These are icons that a student can use or you can use. You can download this document to Google Drive, to Microsoft Cloud. You can email this. You can download the article itself to your computer and save it, and you can print the article. Up above on the right-hand side in the navigation bar, you can cite this article with this tool. If I cite it, I can just copy and paste this. And this is a really great learning opportunity for students because these citations are always not correct. Or I would have to say they're probably, always not correct. It's a good time to help students go to that manual blue book or whether it's online now and use it to double check this citation because often it is incorrect or they might skip a space. So if a student's strictly relying on this, they might get dinged in their bibliography for not doing it correctly. And then you also have the option to export it to these other types of tools. And you'll also see we have MLA edition, you've got the APA, and you got the Chicago 17th edition. back up to the top navigation bar. You can send this to somebody via email. Again, you can download it, print it, you can get a quick link, and then there's highlights and notes option. So if I wanted to highlight something, I can simply highlight this and just type a note in and save. Then I can revisit my notes and it'll show me over here all the notes that I've made. However, if you do not log in during a session and into your account, what will happen is the highlights in your notes will be lost. So if you're comfortable with using your Google account to sign in or your Microsoft account, you can save all those notes and all those articles into your drive. And if you're ever lost anywhere on this, there's a couple of things you can do. They always call this breadcrumbs. Use the breadcrumbs to go back to where you originally were. I just say click on Gail in context to go back home, or just click home if you want to get back to where you're going. Now, we didn't look at the advanced search, so let's take a quick look at that. It's exactly what it says. It's an advanced search. So I can do a search term in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'll just put Bob and do a search, and it gives me some, I can select somebody from this drop down, but I'm just going to go ahead and select Bob and do a search. So that's one way I can do a search. It'll bring me all different sorts of folks that'll pop up: Bob Allen, Bob Barker. But I'm going to go ahead and go back, and let's say I want to do an advanced search. I'm going to go ahead and click on advanced search. And now I have different options. One of the things I can do is I'm going to go ahead and type in Bob. And I'm just going to put down, let's say I want to look for just the author's name. Actually, I'm going to put about a person. Now, here's where I mentioned before, this is the F in the NFL, is full text. Make sure you click full text, because the most disappointing thing is finding that article that is perfect for your paper, and lo and behold, it's only an abstract or it's only a citation. So you always want to select that full text document. You've also got document types you can filter. You can filter and just say you want abstracts. There's a number of different types of documents. You can explore that on your own. You have document types, content level, lexile level. I'm going to go ahead and select search. And now I know that I have full text articles or full text resources about Bob or Bob Barker, because I just limited it to Bob and the subject of Bob. So I've got Bob Barker, the Dylan brothers, Bob and Mike. So you'll see they've got some suggested persons in here, but they've also got some biographical information. And as you're going through this also, let me just go back. And let's say your student wants to learn more about someone who might have been involved in, let's say, Arctic exploration. You can also type in Arctic. And I'm just going to do a quick search. And now I have some resources that are related to Arctic. And you're wondering, well, great, I can just plug my student in front of this and let him go. Well, this is where you become important, because you, as the teacher, can come up with different words. So it could be Arctic, it could be polar, it could be a number of different words that you could use to help those students search. And that's really a great role for you all, because you'll get different searches, different results depending on the terms. And that's where this is not like Google. And just another note, when students go to college, these are the resources they are going to be looking on at their libraries in their colleges. These are the resources they use, the same resources that are available at the state library. So let's scroll down. You'll see these little purple boxes. Well, this is the content level. So depending on your students' maybe reading ability, you might want to limit their search, or you can actually do a search by content level to maybe something that's more appropriate to their reading speed or their reading level. And you'll see we have 70 references. And again, this could be something that students could use to find an appropriate topic for a biography. And then you also have images and there's some videos. I want to quickly go ahead and transition over to Britannica Library. So I'm going to go back to online reference resources. And this time I'm going to go ahead and use Phoenix Public Library's website just to show you. So here we are at Phoenix Public Library's website. How I normally get to the resources is eLibrary. I'll scroll down and I click on A to Z resources. And here you'll see they have a lot of the same resources that we have on the state library, but they have a lot more. They have a lot of great resources. And I always like to point out that they have Canopy, which are online videos, Hoopla, which is also online videos. There's actually some really great videos that students can use. So we're going to go ahead and go to Britannica Library. I'm going to click on this. And I'm prompted for my library card. And since I've already used it this week, it'll just populate it. And now I'm on the Phoenix Public Library's website. So let me just go back really quick and just click on my card number really quick. And sign in again. And now I'm logged in. And this is exactly how it will look at the state library's website. And you might be saying to yourself, well, gosh, it took you two steps to get there. I'm going to use the state library's website. That's fine. It's there for you to use. So as I mentioned, we have 3 different areas that they've identified or they separated. We have children, young adults, and reference center. And I'm going to start with children. I'm just going to click on children just as you can see what the page looks like. I could have actually gone back and done a search right from here. But I just want to go ahead and show you the interface. So I'm going to click on the word children. And you have a number of resources. They have this image of the day. And for the children's resource, it's mostly point and click. It's going to be very visual, very pleasing to the eyes for students to use. So I can click on articles. I can just keep drilling down for animals. I'm going to click on mammals. And I'll put dog, let's see, cats. Let's click on cats. I'll go ahead and click on this one, just a regular cat. And they'll give you some really basic information, life cycle, where cats live. And what I can do, you'll see that they have different reading levels. So here's level 1 and here's level 2. Now for level 2, you'll see it's taken us to young adults. So it's taken us to that next step. So we've got children, young adults, and reference. And so right now we're in the middle reference center. And you'll see you have a lot more information. If I were to click on level 3, which is the higher level, I'll have even more information, which might be a little bit more complicated to read. So again, I'll let you browse this as you wish, but I want you to learn about navigation. So you, just like with the Gale biography, you can send this to somebody, you can email it, you can save this to your favorite, but you have to log in for that. You can print it, you can cite it, you can translate it, and then you can listen to it. A lot of similar features that we had in biography and context. They've got related information, articles, primary resources, ebooks, best websites, and then you've got some research tools, materials, which can give students some ideas on how to conduct research. You've got some resources on getting started, understanding a project, so some tips and tricks for students. Let me just go ahead and go back to Britannica Library. Takes us back to this home page, and then we have Reference Center, which is a little bit more complex. So if I'm going to go ahead and type in cats as a search term. And again, you'll notice up here, it takes us back to that level. We have level 2, which is the second level of research, and we have level 1 for children. So you have those, it's broken down into those 3 different levels for different reading abilities for students. I'm going to see if my account works here. Actually, I'll show you what my account looks like. Let me just click over here to Biography. Sorry, clicking around a lot. But I've already saved my account, I'm sorry, on Britannica. I have my separate account, so I can save articles, and I just want to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Young Adults. And I've already signed in, and I'm going to show you what my content looks like when I've saved something. So here's my content. I've created different folders. So I've got a baseball folder, a cat folder, Britannica favorites. So unlike the other database we looked at, which was the Gale in Context Biography, I'm not being forced to sign up using my Google account or my Microsoft account. I can just save this on Britannica. So if I wanted to create a new category, I'll just go ahead and call this one dogs. And I'm going to add it. So now when I do a search, I'm going to go back to young adults, and I'll just do a search on dogs and press enter. And I'll just click on the first one, dog mammal, and you'll see there's a star by it. And I can quickly add this to my favorites. And it says this item has been added to your favorites, but I want to make sure it goes into dogs. And so I've done that. So now let's go back to my content. And I click on dogs. And you'll notice that I have one article saved there from the level 2, which is the young adults. So that's a quick and dirty navigation for these resources. And I know we have just a couple of minutes left. Does anybody have any questions? Donna, if you want to look at the chat, I see there's a little red dot. Okay. Anything, any quick questions?
I don't see anything yet.
All right. Well, we are just about out of time. And again, just to remind you that you can get all these resources at your local library or through the state library.
Yep.
And
if you ever need help connecting with your local library, I'm happy to facilitate that. I will put my email into the chat there if you would like to make that connection. One thing Mary didn't mention this time is that if you live in Maricopa County, you can get an e-card from the Phoenix Public Library for free. In fact, many of the libraries will allow you to have library cards even if you don't live in their town. If you're outside of Maricopa County, there are some great libraries all around the state, and I'd be happy to help you make those connections so that you can get a teacher card or an educator card, and then you would have online access to all these resources. They also love to do outreach. Of course, right now it might be virtual outreach, but if you want them to make a presentation to your students about how the students can get an e-card, sometimes that's a really nice resource for the students to have an extra place to get some information as they're doing their virtual learning.
absolutely. And on the slides we're going to be sharing, we will have our contact information for Donna and then also for myself. So if you want to recommend doing some in-service training using these resources, I would be happy to provide that. I think, and if you want to recommend that somebody contact me, have them do that, I'd be more than happy to talk to them too about our resources. Well, thank you again. I know you have plenty of things to do during lunch, and we really appreciate everything you do for our students. Thank you so much. And we are here to help support you.